All right. What's up, everybody? Bluff City Media. I'm Christian Fowler. Next to me, for the first time I've ever seen him on camera,
Yo,
our lead digital content creator. Is that a sufficient title?
listen, I'm a pusher of buttons.
Lead digital content creator, content overseer, the overlord of the
I thought,
content.
I was wondering if you guys say overlord. I kind
Yeah.
of dig that.
The
Yeah,
overlord of all the content, Kenny Stubblefield.
that's going in my bio.
Yeah. K Stub, what's it feel like to be on camera?
Weird. Not a
Weird.
fan. I'm usually behind the camera, and you'll hear my voice kind of every once in a while on the Bluff podcast.
Yeah.
And but so yeah, this is not normal
Not
for
the
me. I'm
norm.
not a big fan of it.
Well, it'd be fun.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about the reason that we're here, right?
Absolutely.
We are in Columbus, Ohio for the NCAA tournament, first round game on Friday night, tomorrow night at 9:30 Eastern time.
Are you ready for that?
Bro, you know me good enough to know I'm not ready for that.
If y'all hear an announcer on the TV saying, "Why is there somebody falling asleep on media row?"
It's me.
Rest assured, that is absolutely Christian.
100% me. I'm not a night owl. I can be, but
Yeah.
I usually wake up early every morning, so I'm not a night owl.
That's why you're gonna sleep in. What time are you sleeping until tomorrow?
Tomorrow?
Yeah, you're gonna sleep
I'm
in
just
for a little bit.
Since we don't have anything until later in the day, I'm just going to sleep until I wake up, probably.
There you go. There
Or
you
until
go.
you fumble around and hear enough and wake me up.
Absolutely.
But let's get into it a little
Yeah,
bit.
let's do it.
This is a lot of fun. Like, this is cool for us to be in this situation. Like,
Yeah.
neither one of us have ever covered an NCAA tournament game in person. I've never covered an NCAA tournament game at all. I wasn't working in media last year when Memphis played Boise State and then Gonzaga in the first two rounds.
Yeah.
The only postseason other than conference tournaments I've ever covered is NIT, 2 NIT tournaments. So this is really cool for me. I'm excited. The only thing I'm not excited about is the 9:30 tip.
Literally the latest game possible.
It is. I think it is the latest game of the day.
Yeah.
So we got a little screwed in that aspect, but regardless, we're here. This is going to be an awesome weekend. If you guys were with us last weekend in Fort Worth for the conference tournament, I can't take much credit. Kenny did a killer job with the coverage as far as just bringing as extensive and comprehensive as coverage as possible. That was the goal, and that's the goal this weekend is to one up ourselves.
We're going to try.
And to do even better than we did last week to give you guys kind of an inside that you can't get unless you're in the arena or in the city and try to encapsulate what this event means to the city and to the program. So, we try to do the best we can and do it to the best of our abilities to bring it forward to light to the people that can't be here, to the fans that can't be here. So that's the goal this weekend. But without further ado, how do you feel about Friday night FAU game?
Yeah, I mean, I think, there's been a whole lot of conversations about FAU and what they bring to the table. And obviously, we know this. The hardest thing to do in sports is to win.
Yeah.
Right? Like to win a lot of games.
Yeah.
And FAU comes into this tournament having won a hell of a lot of games, man.
31
games.
31 dubs this year.
I think if we were to try to be a little bit more nuanced and say, okay, let's dive into those 31 wins. I think that we might have kind of a better understanding of what's going on with FAU. But again, there's one thing that's common about any sports is you got to strap them up and play every single night,
regardless of who's put in front of you.
And they played 34 games and won 31 of them.
Yeah.
And that's impressive.
Yeah. So they played 2 Power 5 teams this year, right? Back-to-back SEC teams, Ole Miss and Florida. Lost to Ole Miss by 13, beat Florida by 2. If you're paying attention, Florida just lost to UCF by, what did you say, 18 in the NIT?
In Gainesville. Crazy.
On Wednesday night. So that's one. There's only been one common opponent between the two teams, I believe, if I'm not being crazy.
It's Ole Miss.
And Memphis beat Ole Miss, and FAU lost to them by 13.
Right.
Once again, early in the season.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean much.
We don't really like to play sports math like that.
It doesn't add up.
It doesn't add up ever. But, there is a, I do think that it's fair to assume that FAU has played a conference schedule, the Conference USA schedule, that is relatively subpar, I think, to what Memphis has faced. And even in terms of non-conference schedule, Memphis has played a much tougher non-conference schedule this year. And so, I think that while we sit here and say 31 wins is a lot and give them kudos for that, I do think that there is a level of competition that they have experienced this year that does not meet the standard that Memphis has set in terms of competition.
Yeah, I completely agree. Memphis is the best team that FAU's played this year.
100%.
I don't think there's any debate towards that.
Right.
I mean, there are some solid CUSA teams. UAB was the team that they played in the CUSA championship. So, okay, that's fine. But Memphis is the best team they've seen all year. On the other hand, that's not true for Memphis. Memphis has played number one Houston twice.
They played 4 games against number 1 teams in the country.
3 or 4. Yeah, you're right. They played Houston 3 times. Correct.
Right.
So 3 games against the number 1 team, and then 1 game against, at the time, number 2 Alabama, who's been number 1 at some point this season. Throw on top of that Vanderbilt, who was a giant slayer in the SEC at times. Texas A&M, who's a 7 seed in the NCAA tournament right now. Auburn, who's a 9 seed in the NCAA tournament right now. Not a single team that FAU faced is in the tournament.
No.
But does that mean they can't beat Memphis? Absolutely not. 100%.
Jinx.
That's not how it works.
Right.
We're going to continue going into this, but I just want to let you guys know, if you are watching right now, if you do have any questions, feel free to throw them in the chat. We'll get to them at some point.
Yeah,
once we kind of wrap up our preview and what we want to talk about, we'll hit some questions. We can see them. They're right here in front of us. We got them pulled up. So feel free to fire questions away, and we'll get to them at some point during this live. Okay, so have you watched any FAU yet? Have you checked it out at all?
I'm going to be completely 100% honest with you. I haven't checked a single bit of it out. Okay. Have you?
Yeah, I actually did on Tuesday.
Okay.
Watch some.
Love to hear your thoughts about what you think about them.
Just to kind of get a feel for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like most of it we've probably heard, but it's the truth. Like, if you've listened to talk radio this week, if you've listened to podcasts this week, you've probably heard this, but it's the truth. So I'm going to give the spiel again. So 4 guards in the starting lineup, none taller than 6'4". And then you got, I almost said Victor Flocken. And then you got Golden in the middle, the center, 7'1" center. And their offense centers around him, but it doesn't, if that makes sense. So teams are either going to crash at him and leave 3-point shooters open, or they're going to cover the perimeter and leave Golden open. And that's kind of the way strategically that they play offensively.
Based on what you've seen.
Yeah.
Based on what you've seen, if Memphis decides to play this, and I thought this was such a good point that you brought up on the Bluff this week. If you look at matchups and you look at game plans that that the Tigers have implemented against certain teams that they've played this year, it brings to mind, you inadvertently mentioned his name, and Victor Locken in that Cincinnati. If Memphis decides to implement the game plan that they used against Cincinnati and take away the 3-point line and let the offense flow through Golden, is that his name you said? If that happens, is he good enough to carry that weight?
Not good enough to carry them to a win, I don't believe. If they're not hitting threes, then he's not going to put up 30 and 15. I mean, he averages 10 and 6, which is solid, but he's a 7'1" center that only averages 6.5 pounds a game.
I mean, that's not ideal.
No, that's not. That doesn't scare anybody. Now, Memphis is an undersized team for the most part. Outside of Malcolm Dandridge, they do play a lot of small ball lineup. We know that.
Right.
So he'll probably have more than 6 rebounds in this game, if I had to guess, just because, I mean, if you look at last week, Juwan Roberts had 20 rebounds.
Well, and let's be real, like, Memphis has struggled with rebounding the entire year, and not due to effort or anything like that, just due to the fact that they're an undersized team in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I think that's part of what we saw in Fort Worth, but not 100%, because when you look at it, Houston could not make a shot. And Memphis was knocking everything down. There are some games. I mean, we talk about this all the time. Sports and basketball in general, or basketball and sports in general, are all nuanced. So the rebounding battle doesn't always tell the story. I feel like the majority of the time you can look at that as a good indicator of how the game went.
Right.
But when a team shoots 50% from the floor and the other team shoots, 26, 27% from the floor,
there's going to be a lot more opportunities on the offensive side to get rebounds.
That team has more opportunities
100%
to get rebounds. But the thing I do love about this FAU team, and I think what makes them scary and the reason that they are only 2-point underdogs to Memphis, is because they're so unselfish. They play a level of basketball that they don't care who scores.
Okay.
If you go to their schedule, like how on ESPN, if you go to their schedule, it shows you the leading like score, rebound, and assister for each game.
Right.
Their leading
It's
score,
different all the time?
it's pretty much different every game.
Okay.
They are not selfish. Whatever.
How does that translate on the court though? If you say they're unselfish, but how do they move the ball? Like, how does the ball move around in the footage that you've seen? How does the ball move? Are they a swing
Yeah,
type of team?
swing from the outside in.
Okay.
Yeah, swing from the outside in.
Do they do inside out? Does Golden get the ball in the paint and then pass it? Are they pass it out to the 3-point line kind of team? Like, what do they do?
Yeah, so it is a lot of swing.
Okay.
It is a lot of swing action, and then obviously screen action to get guys open. But they'll also implement driving kicks and dish it down. And if you have a double team crash on the interior, then they're more than willing to kick it out and let somebody shoot.
Yeah.
No one's trying to get contested buckets in this offense, I guess is the best way to put it.
So their goal is they'll pass up good shots to get great shots consistently.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. And then defensively, they're a pretty exclusive man-to-man type team. They like to play man-to-man ball.
Okay. It's going to be tough.
Yes, that's not an easy an easy defense, and it's not what Memphis is used to seeing.
Well, if you watch most Memphis games, the game plan is to zone them out, right?
Absolutely, that's what we see.
And Memphis has to find a way to beat that zone or to shoot well enough or gash those zones up enough to where it's kind of forcing a hey, we got to get out of this or we're going to get ripped to shreds. And then you go man against Memphis, and it's tough because you've got a couple of guards who can. I mean, you got a big man in DeAndre Williams who can break people down off the dribble. You got a point guard who we know is one of the best in the country at breaking people off the dribble. Athletically wise, what do you see in terms of do they have athletic guards, or are they just kind of like?
I mean, they're athletic, but they're not uber athletic. You know what I mean? They're not.
Yeah.
They're not anything that Memphis hasn't seen. They're not anything too explosive athletically.
Right.
And going back to the man-to-man point, I know we see a lot more zone stuff against Memphis.
Yeah.
But I love man matchups for them.
Oh, absolutely.
Because if you put a 7'1" center on DeAndre and ISO him,
it's over.
He's gonna do exactly what he wants to do. If you put just anybody on Kendrick Davis one-on-one, and they have their guards are good defenders. Like they stay, like you heard Memphis talking about this week. Like what we did over the weekend was we stayed on the string. We stayed on the string, and like it's the same thing in football. You always hear them say we stay on our track.
Right.
So they stayed tight. They knew their assignments and they were on their assignments. FAU defensively is very disciplined on their switches.
Yeah. When
they're screened and stuff like that, because they are so used to playing man, they know when to pass them and they know when to fight through them. But at the same time, how many people in the country can guard Kendrick Davis one-on-one?
Not very many.
Not at all. And so I love that aspect for them to have man matchups with DeAndre and Kendrick is.
Yeah.
How do you stop that?
It's going to be tough.
Yeah.
Especially when you've played a schedule that hasn't shown like you haven't played against anybody like Kendrick and DeAndre. I mean, they haven't. Like you've said numerous times over the last couple of weeks, they are not only the best duo in the AAC, they're the two best players in the AAC. And FAU hasn't played anybody like them yet. And you're adding, Malcolm, who's been playing very well over the last couple of days, even specifically this past weekend. You're adding Alex back into the equation. You're adding a DeMario Franklin into the equation. Like you're adding some athletic talent, some athletes on the floor that I would be surprised if FAU has seen anything like what is coming towards them on Friday.
I agree, because when you think about what Memphis does defensively and the type of perimeter defenders they have, whether that's Kendrick or Alo or DeMario or Elijah McCadden, if they've got 4 guards on the floor and none of them are bigger than 6'4",
yeah,
I just see that matchup favoring
just nightmares,
Memphis.
Man. Nightmare.
Because when Kendrick's locked in on defense, he's right up there with Alex Lomax.
Very tough.
As the best perimeter defender on the team.
Very tough.
And DeMario is no slouch as a perimeter defender. I know he's had his ups and downs this year, but he's a solid perimeter defender. Elijah McCadden is a very disciplined defender. He's not overly athletic or overly fast, but he's just always in the right position.
Right.
So I love I love the versatility that Memphis has versus the size that FAU has. Now, does that mean that we haven't seen Memphis be weak at times covering the perimeter?
Oh,
Absolutely not.
absolutely.
When they go break that down, when we've seen games, especially early in the season, because Memphis could not guard the 3-point line early in
Right.
the season.
Right.
What do you think it is about this team when they do struggle from defending 3-point? Why is that? Like, what have you seen from it?
Well, I think Penny even talked about this, so I'm just going to tell you what Penny said. They have struggled with overhelping, reacting too strongly to drives from the opposite end. Like that's been the main problem. And when you talked about FAU being a drive and kick type team, that's where you see Memphis struggle in the defense in recovery, right? Like in recovery, if the ball is coming, like let's say you're looking at the court, and you're looking at it from goal to goal, right down the middle of the court, you put a line and say, to the left of that line is A, to the right of that line is B. A team that gives Memphis problems is a team that is bringing the ball into the paint, getting feet into the paint from on side B and passing it over to side A. They don't struggle if it goes B to B to B to B. They struggle if it goes from B to A and then back and forth, because that's where the recovery has to happen. Because what you've seen Memphis players do is overreact to that help, not follow the concepts that Penny Hardaway and Frank Haith have been teaching, in with their defensive, practice times, but is just overreaching, overhelping, and not being able to recover when that ball is brought in from one side of the court and passed to the other. Like that's what you've seen. And if that's what FAU does, I'm sure they've seen it too. And they know that that's a struggle. And so the question is Memphis has done better with that over the last few weeks. Like they were getting sliced and diced at the beginning of the year. I mean, Penny even said it in the availability a few days ago. He said it felt like literally teams were hitting 100% from three on them in the beginning of the year. And I think that they have, as much as you talk about being on a string defensively, that comes with just like playing offense and learning how people, like the people that you've never played with, like to, where do they like screen set? Where do they want entry passes? Where does it go? It's also that way on the defensive side of the court, right? Like how do we play off each other? Like, are you stronger going to your left or to your right? Like, do I need to help? If you're strong, moving laterally to your right, then if I'm on the right side of you, I don't need to help because you're going to recover. And so playing on a string, playing on, what you've seen, and they hit their peak, their zenith of that at the AAC tournament. I mean, there were moments where, especially in that Tulane game, like they couldn't get into their offense because of the Tiger defense. And so that's what I suspect, man, like is have they fixed those issues? Are they going to kind of pop up those drive and kick issues, those overhelping, like lack of recovery issues? We'll see, man.
Yeah, I truly believe that Memphis is the more talented team in this game. Just on paper,
Right.
Memphis is a more talented team. If they play the way they did in Fort Worth, they will not lose this game.
They will not lose this game.
And let's give FAU credit. They played like a juggernaut in the CUSA tournament also.
Right.
They won in the championship game by 22 points against a solid UAB team.
Right.
They're not anything special, but they're a solid team. But regardless, Memphis has the two better players. Memphis is going to have the two best players on the floor, bar none. It's unquestionable. DeAndre Williams and Kendrick Davis will be the two best players on the floor here in Columbus tomorrow night. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. So if Memphis shows up with the same mentality that they had in Fort Worth, the same way that they played, like the same hunger that they played with, the same just reckless abandon, they didn't care. They didn't care about the score. They didn't care who they were playing. They didn't care who they were guarding. They were there for one goal. If they show up tomorrow night with the same mentality and the same discipline, what you're hinting at, getting discipline on the defensive end of the floor, not making those careless mistakes and leaving open shooters, I don't see any way that they don't win this game. Once again, that's not saying that they can't lose. Any team can lose in any given night in the NCAA tournament. We saw it today. Furman beat Virginia. Princeton beat
Christian
Arizona.
almost crashed the car when Furman hit that jump shot or hit that three-pointer.
That's 100% true. So we've seen a 15 beat a 2,
right,
and a 13 beat a 4 already today.
Right.
So
this is an 8-9 seed. And listen, let's go back to this, man. Vegas thinks there's something going on here.
2 point.
It's a 2-point game. It's a 2-point spread right now. I mean, they think that something is going on here. So we, I actually asked DeAndre that yesterday. I said, or at the pregame availability, I said, I asked him, I said, coming off of the weekend where you had he played otherworldly in the AAC tournament. I mean, we've covered him for 3 years now. Like, have you ever seen him play better?
Not for a stretch of more than one game.
Yeah.
Not consistently like that.
Yeah. I asked him, I was like, what did the basket feel like, when you were out there? And he was like, it was big as an ocean. You know what I'm saying? Like, you just felt like anytime he threw it up, he hit the first one. He said, like, anytime after that, he felt like it was going in. And I asked him, I said, momentum is a huge deal in sports. Like, were you wanting to just go straight to Columbus, like leave Fort Worth and go straight to Columbus and not take that 4-day break? Because I think there are those kind of like questions of, is that a sustainable thing for him?
Can they continue to do? Well, not only him, but the team as a whole. Can they continue to play at that level?
Yeah, and that's the question I think that needs to be asked. If they are, I 100% agree with you. It will not be a close game tomorrow if Memphis plays the way that they played at the AAC tournament.
I think truthfully, like, this is unbiased. I mean, it's just based off of what we saw last weekend. I mean, they beat Tulane, which is a solid team, by 40 points.
By 40.
And then they beat the number 1 team in the country by 10. They can win this game by 10 to 15 if they play like that.
Right.
If they falter, it's going to get sketchy.
It's going to get sketchy.
It's going to get sketchy because this team will make you pay for mistakes and being undisciplined. There's no doubt about that.
One of the things we talked about while we were in Fort Worth is I think it was popularized with the Golden State Warriors when they had prime Steph, prime Clay, prime Draymond, Andre Iguodala at his, I don't know about prime. He's prime in Philly.
Yeah.
But just a really effective player for them. And who was the other guy that they had? Who was the other part of that death lineup? I forget. There was 5 of them. I forgot who it was. Was it Harrison Barnes, maybe?
Harrison Barnes.
Yeah,
Harrison Barnes. And the first 2 years, it was Harrison Barnes.
They had that death lineup, right? And that's kind of become a popular phrase. Like, we even talk about it at with GBB Live and Parker and the boys over there, talking about who are the Grizzlies' death lineup. And you threw out a lineup that you think is Memphis's death lineup. What do you think?
My favorite lineup right now, and this lineup was employed a lot in the tournament, or in the conference tournament, is Malcolm at the 5, DeAndre at the 4, Demaria at the 3, Alo at the 2, and Kendrick at the 1.
Yeah.
There's multiple variations of that. Like, you could take Malcolm off and put Elijah on.
Right.
Or you could take Demaria off and put Elijah on. So there's a couple of different variations of that. But, like, just what I've seen from that lineup since Demaria started playing well and since Alex and Malcolm came back is I love the versatility and the unselfishness in that lineup.
Right.
Because when Malcolm bricks off the paint,
man,
and when Demaria is locked in defensively,
they're very tough to score on.
And then Kendrick and DeAndre are scoring.
Well, we know what Alex does on defense.
Right. We know he's always locked in defensively. There's
never not a moment he's not
locked in. So yeah, I really like that lineup.
Yeah.
And it was effective when they used it over the weekend. It's been effective. I want to say either 2 or 3 games before the end of the regular season is the first time I saw that lineup. I can't recall exactly what game it was, but as soon as it happened, I was like, oh, I like this lineup. I like the energy that this lineup brings.
Well, and the question is defensively, we love the energy that lineup brings. Offensively, can it keep up? Right? Like, will Demaria be hitting that day?
But does it really matter when you have Kendrick and DeAndre on the floor at the same time?
It could matter. It is tough if you have 2 guards that are ball dominant guard. I mean, even though Kendrick is the ultimate ball dominant guard, it is tough to have guys that, there are ways to take people out of games.
Well, you basically have 3 guys that have played point guard for the majority of their career.
Right.
That's all Kendrick's ever done. That's all Alex has ever done until this year. And it's all Demaria did at USC.
At USC, he was absolutely the ball dominant guard at USC, which is so interesting. You've mentioned this numerous times over the last couple of months, but just like how are Demaria and Kendrick going to play together? Because it is tough when you are a ball dominant guard like Demaria has been his entire career to be able to transition to being effective off the ball.
Same thing for Alex, though.
Right.
Like they've both balled into their roles.
Yeah.
and they both are like I'm just telling you, like when Kendrick and Alex are on the floor together,
It is hell.
it is hell
Yeah.
for the opposing team.
Oh my God.
They don't know what to do defensively because they're both
And then
so
you add
active and they're so good
DeMaria?
at trapping together.
Then
Yeah.
you add DeMaria to the equation. When you have DeMaria that runs the tip of the spear on that full court press,
Right.
bro, it is like a daggum snake. Like you see them. I think fans like sometimes will see it and be like, well, they got over that. They got past that half court line in 8 seconds. That's not where the tip of that spear hits. They're trying to trap you right on the other side of that 8.
As soon as you get to take a breath from crossing half court,
then it's boa constrictor time, and it is just a squeeze, and it is so difficult. I guess that's my question. Like one of the ways, if you've played ball, if you want to be effective against a high volume 3-point shooting team, it's make them hella uncomfortable.
Yeah, rattle
How
them
much-
early, make them turn the ball over.
How much do you think we'll see that zone press tomorrow?
See, this is like one of NCAA tournaments, like throw everything else out, right?
Yeah.
Because you're not gonna hide any schemes. You're not
Right.
You're throwing everything out, especially in an 8-9. This ain't a 116 game. It's an 8-9 game.
You got to throw everything. Everything's on the kitchen table, man.
So can you not see Penny coming out aggressive from the rip and being like, "We will press you from the opening tip."
At
your first inbound,
those
we will
first
press
4
you.
minutes till they get to that 16-minute under 16-minute timeout, you are going to be gassed before that happens.
And if Memphis is running them by that point,
bro,
and that confidence goes down,
man.
that's what I think they want to do. If you rattle shooters early, it is so hard to get back into a rhythm.
100%. Because shooting is all about rhythm. You got to be able to get your feet right, your arms right, your hands right, your eyes right. And if they are constantly having to make sure that they don't have Alex or Kendrick
somebody on my back,
DeMaria, who's coming behind me? Where's it coming from? Where's the next guy coming from? Guess where that means his eyes aren't? To that basket. Not on the basket.
Yeah. All right. You have anything else you want to hit? You feel good? You feel good about where we're at right
Dude, I'm
now?
so pumped up, man.
Yeah, I mean, we're here. We're here.
Bro. We're in Columbus. We're gonna have a good time, man. Like this is a dope city, and I mean, we haven't got to see a lot of it, but where we are, uptown,
it's pretty sweet.
It's chill, man. Like it's a pretty dope spot.
Yeah, for sure. Well, just want to let you guys know we are here for as long as Memphis is. So if they if they lose against FAU on Friday,
we'll see you on Saturday in Memphis, baby.
We will be back home on Saturday night. But if they're here through the round of 32, we'll be here through the round of 32, and you can expect these every day. So this is Thursday night. We've got one. We'll have one tomorrow. What we do? Are we going to do one pregame tomorrow?
Let's do a pregame one.
All right, we'll do a pregame one tomorrow. That's news to me.
I know we've already done a pregame one, but
just a little quick hitter tomorrow afternoon.
I think there's probably a lot of people that didn't know that we were doing this.
Yeah, so we can probably do a little quick hitter tomorrow afternoon.
If you have any questions, anything like that, like get them ready. We'll follow us on Twitter, Bluff City underscore media.
Maybe, I think so.
I think I'm right.
We didn't have any questions, by the way, either before our episode.
Well, maybe we do. Let me see. I don't know. So we were told that they end up here.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna check your phone. Let me see your live.
Okay.
Because we got 16 people that are watching this, and we'd love to answer questions if you have any.
Gabe is.
What's he doing?
He said we're looking like some snacks.
Gabe's a big old chocolate chip cookie.
TJ said he's getting us lapel mics for Christmas. We have lapel mics here with us. This is just this is way better.
Let me just give you a little insider baseball, TJ. All right.
Yeah, let him know.
When we were in Fort Worth, we said we were going live, and there was a reason why we didn't go live. And that's because we couldn't get the lapel mics to work with this.
And these are better anyway.
Even
if we have to hold them.
No questions?
No questions. So we're good on that end. It's okay. We're not popular enough to get questions yet, but maybe if we keep doing these.
Right. Let's do it.
So little quick hitter tomorrow afternoon before the game, before we head to the arena.
Yep.
Tomorrow night, win or loss, we'll go live tomorrow night. It's gonna be late.
Yeah, we'll be up late. It'll stay up with this, man.
It'll probably be super late. So what we'll do on that one is we'll probably just upload it separately, archive it, whatever. Me and Kenny, we got that. We'll talk about that.
That's news to me.
So we'll have that, and if Memphis wins on Friday, we'll do a pregame on Saturday.
Yep.
And then we'll do an after the round of 32 game.
If Memphis wins on Friday, who are they who do you think they might play on Sunday?
Maybe Farley Dickinson.
Is Farley
No, I'm
Dick?
just kidding.
So have you looked at any Farley Dickinson?
Yeah,
footage?
I've been ripping
Okay.
Farley Dickinson footage all day. We're trying to wrap this up.
I need
bro.
Trey and TJ to look at some Farley Dickinson
Okay,
footage.
they
for us.
they need to get the film breakdown
Thank
on
you.
that one.
Thank you.
But yeah, so that'll be our live schedule for the weekend, and we'll archive all these and put them out so everyone will be able to watch them, or they're not just live. So stay tuned with us this weekend. Bluff City Media, Twitter, Instagram, obviously here on YouTube. We got any other avenues? Yeah, the site, the website,
BluffCityMedia.co.
everything will be on the website. So anytime we do videos, I'll put them out on the website where you'll be able to see them there. We'll have previews and recaps for every game, and I'll be doing a feature article after every game the same way I did in Fort Worth. So we've got content coming from every different direction this weekend. Hopefully, fingers crossed, we're here until Sunday.
We got 2 games.
Fingers crossed.
Hopefully.
Fingers crossed. We'll see. All right, Kenny. Wrap us up. Get us out of here.
You're the guy.
No, you got to end the broadcast for us to get out of here, fool.
Oh. End broadcast.